Yeah. Okay, Mum.
It's not a walkthrough, playthrough, review, anything like that. It's just me playing the game badly so you can see what it looks like.
Okay then, this is Super Breakout on the Game Boy. Except it's not really authentic Game Boy because it's in colour, because we're playing it on a Super Game Boy cartridge on the SNES via an EverDrive cartridge. But we're not emulating, so, you know, it's authentic Nintendo, it's just not really authentic Game Boy. Because it would be in black and white. But, yeah. I suppose I could alter the colour set and make it more Game Boyish, but I can't be bothered. So we'll play it like this. I like Breakout, and I guess Super Breakout. I did play, I don't know if I just played Super Breakout or if I just played Breakout in the arcades. I found it very difficult, actually. It was just, the bat was too damn small. The bat is bigger. It's not strictly authentic as I remember the game in the arcade. You had a tiny little bat, and trying to hit the ball back up the screen was really hard. And obviously you had a dial or a paddle controller rather than a D-pad or a joystick or anything like that. Oops. Nevertheless, I like the concept of Breakout. It was kind of an obvious progression from Pong, which was pretty much all that had gone before it at the time. I don't know what was the next game after Pong, but Breakout was the first game I played after Pong, and it seemed like a natural progression. So I do have some nostalgia for this. Oh, though I'm not good at it. It's something about, it's not a hand-eye coordination thing, it's more just judging the path of the ball. Oh God, I'm not so good at. It's not necessarily winding up where I'm expecting it to wind up, or if it is, I'm just not able to get the bat there in time or something. There's not a lot you can say about this, really. It works, it plays adequately. I don't know that it's entirely authentic compared to the arcade game. But as a game in its own right, oops. Yeah, that's about right, oops. As a game in its own right, it's pretty decent. It's the kind of thing I would play once or twice and then move on to another game. I wouldn't buy it on its own. If it was like a single individual game, I wouldn't buy it. But the fact that it comes, this is part of a double game cartridge for the Game Boy. It comes with Battlezone. I think, yeah, fair enough. Back in the day, I would have been happy enough having bought this cartridge, I think. Battlezone is a little bit flawed. This is... I would actually probably wind up playing this more than Battlezone, actually, which is a surprise. Yeah, it's good play it on the bus kind of fodder, really. Okay, thank you for watching. Okay then, today's question for Q&A is from ROCKFORD C64. Link to his channel down there. He asks, for Q&A, hi Steve, what was the first home computer system you used? And what was the first you had? All the best. Okay, the answer to both is actually the same. It's a Sinclair ZX81. First time I ever used one, or saw it even. Yeah, first one I used. It was owned by this lad I've mentioned many times, Richard Stone. He was a kid who I knew from school. He was like, in my year, he was the computer nerd. He was all about computers and electronics, and he was very, very talented and skilled, and just he knew it all. He was the guy who brought in the magazines and read about all these systems and everything, and got me thinking, I like the sound of all this. I mean, I'd been fascinated by computers since I was very young, and I became aware of the existence of computers through Star Trek. You know, there was the ship computer, and I remember saying to my mum, when I grow up I'm going to have a computer, and my mum said, no, only really, really big companies and businesses will have computers because they're enormous and really expensive. Yeah, okay, mum. So when this guy Richard said he'd got a computer, a ZX81, I was like, can I come and have a look? And he was like, yep, sure. And I went round there, and I was fascinated, well, partly in the games. To be fair, I had played things like Space Invaders and whatever. It was 1982 at the time, and you know, I'd played arcade games such as they were at that time, and so the games on this thing were not amazing, except he showed me 3D Monster Maze, and I was blown away. I was just like, holy crap, this is bloody amazing. Because it was the first thing I'd seen at home on a home system beyond Pong, so I was massively impressed. And the fact that you could program it, I was fascinated by the idea that this was not a games console. This was a computer. You could program it, and oh my god, that's amazing, and I want one. And I finally got one in 1983. Second hand, paid 15 quid for it, bought it from a friend. Had a 16K RAM pack. Didn't have a tape recorder that could work with it, which meant everything I programmed into it I lost. Not that I was ever able to program a whole lot into it. I think the only thing that I ever typed into it that worked to any degree was like a cat city bomber. Only it was crap, because, and I think it was only in 1K. Your plane would go along from one side to the other, and you would drop the bombs and they would flatten the skyscrapers, and that was great. But if you failed to flatten the skyscrapers and your plane crashed into a building, it didn't blow up, it just ploughed straight through the building and carried on. There was no collision detection between the plane and the buildings, so as a game it didn't function. There was no consequence for crashing. So yeah, bit of an epic fail there. But what can you expect in 1K? I was just pleased that I could make it do something. So apart from having no tape deck, I mean, my dad had a tape recorder, but the only input on that tape recorder was a 5-pin DIN socket, and I didn't have a lead that would take a 5-pin DIN at one end to like audio in and out at the other end. So I wasn't able to save anything or load anything. I could only type stuff in. And the 16K RAM pack that I had with it had, whether it was the RAM pack or the computer or a combination of the two, just bad design. It was a known thing. Memory wobble. I've heard it called other things, but that's what we called it when I was a kid. Memory wobble. You touch the computer, it breaks connection on one of the tracks at the back, and it crashes. You lose everything. Or just jog it slightly, any movement whatsoever, and it breaks a connection. And it was infuriating. You know, you could spend hours typing. I say typing, it was a membrane keyboard. I actually found it, while people say it was a god-awful keyboard, I found there was a knack to it. don't type with your fingertips, type with your nail. And it was really quite responsive. I didn't have a problem doing type-ins. Well, you couldn't do it quickly, but it was reliable until you had memory wobble. Yeah, I would say I had that computer, used it for, I don't think it lasted a year, because it had memory wobble one day and it fried it, you know. It crashed and never came back, never rebooted. It was just like, I can't remember if it had a black screen or what it did, but it didn't work after that. And that was a shame, because I couldn't afford another one. We were poor. 15 quid at that time was quite a lot of money to my family anyway, and especially to me. Yeah, I liked it though, and it's still, I like the ZX81 more than the Spectrum. It's harder to do stuff with because of the keyboard and because it won't work with this telly. It will display a picture, but it goes dark and stays dark. I mean, I know there's a mod you can do that will sort that out, but I don't want to mod it. So when I use it, I've got a little camping cathode ray tube TV down there, tiny little portable that runs on batteries, and I plug it into that. But it's not so great if I want to record a video. Yeah, lovely machine. It's the character of it. Something about it. It has massive retro character. It's that so crap it's fantastic. Makes me love it. It's more crap than a Spectrum, so I like it more than a Spectrum. I'm not a fan of the Spectrum. It's like there's a small handful of games on that I really like, and the rest I'm like, eh. Rather play an Atari. Yeah. Okay, I think that answers that. Anyone else who's got any questions they would like answering in a video like this, leave your question in the comments below. And begin with for Q&A so that I know not to just answer in the comments. And I'm just looking at how many questions have I got left on my stockpile of questions. Okay, I'm doing alright. I've probably got enough for another couple of weeks yet, because as you'll be aware, I'm doing more videos at the moment, and that means I'm getting through the questions, but I'm not about to run out. Needless to say, all questions are welcome. I don't know what I'll do if I run out of questions to answer. I'll figure that one out if and when I get there. Anyway, thank you for watching.
It says here Benway offers his thanks to those who subscribe to his Patreon account thing. Is that what he needs?